Okay, that's good. That's good. Just as a quick disclaimer, yes, this video is covering Montana. No, I'm not from Montana. No, I've also never been to Montana. I just looked up Seen It 4K videos, and this is the first one that popped up in my feed. So don't beef on me if you got problems with Montana. But today I have a full handful of arrows with tons of different vein selections. We're going to be going over kind of the difference in veins in arrows, pros of some, cons of some. Not even necessarily pros or cons, just what makes veins different and what to look for in veins in your instance. Let's say you're building a indoor target arrow. That's going to be a lot different than an outdoor target arrow, or a hunting arrow that you're going to be shooting fixed blades out of, or a hunting arrow that you're shooting mechanicals out of. There's different stuff for everybody. Starting off with definitely the most popular vein right now for arrows is going to be the boning blazer vein. Let me get that focused here real quick. Yeah, so the boning blazer vein, if you have seen a arrow that's factory fletched, or if you have gotten started into archery, chances are you started off with the boning blazer vein. It's the most common vein by far. A lot of animals have been killed with this thing. This is my girlfriend's hunting arrow, actually. So this is the arrow that she's going to be hunting with this year, and hopefully she does the same. As far as the traits of this vein, it's going to be pretty high profile, and then it's not going to be very long. But the cons of having a high profile, shorter vein is they're going to be pretty loud just right off the bat, because having a high profile or basically a vein that takes up more space is going to have to pass through more air when it's in flight, which is going to make more drag, which makes more noise. So any high profile vein is going to be loud. There's not a whole lot you can do to fix that unless you can change physics. But a good use for the blazer veins is something like, shoot this arrow right here. This is a kind of 3D target arrow that I built just for the off season. These are the ones that I shoot just for practice. They are a Easton Axis arrow, 4-fletch with the blazer vein on the back, and then these tips I literally just glued in field tips with the inserts screwed on, just so I don't have to worry about screwing them back in. And at the end of the off season, if I want to take them out, I just dip them in boiling water and pull them out, since I use hot melt from boning. It is from boning. But yeah, the veins are really nice just because these are going to give me a pretty good amount of steering since they're higher profile and there's 4-fletch. But at the same time, you save on a little bit of weight. So you're not going to be really making a super heavy arrow, so you're saving on a bit of that speed. So that's where I kind of think that the boning blazer veins have a good place. Now, on the hunting side of things, a really, really popular vein for a couple reasons is going to be these AAE Max Stealth veins. Let me get those into focus. So these are going to be a little bit longer. So they're going to be a longer vein overall, but they're going to have a shorter profile. So you're still getting that space taken up, but it's not going to be as tall, so it's not going to be getting away from that arrow as much, which can cause more noise. Now the main thing with these guys that I've noticed, and it's something where if you've shot these arrows and even listened to them flying after you've shot it, is these things are pretty loud because of how soft they are. Soft veins will create a pretty loud arrow when it's flying down range. That's the one downfall that I have for these, and kind of the one reason why I started to switch. And also, this is really nerdy, but I have a theory that if you have a soft vein and you have an inconsistency in the flight of that arrow, for those veins to correct, they obviously have to exert some sort of drag and have some sort of force put onto that arrow from the wind that they're catching and everything like that. And if you have a little bit softer vein that is a little bit less tolerance and isn't as stiff when it's trying to correct that arrow, it's going to bend out of the way a little bit more and create more drag, which in turn, like I said, creates more noise. So I think a A stiffer arrow is a little bit slower, or excuse me, a stiffer vane is a little bit slower to correct an arrow, and it's also a little bit louder when it is correcting the arrow in flight. That's just my theory that I came up with. If someone else came up with it, which they probably have because I'm 21 and getting into the archery industry, then by all means, I'm not taking credit for it. That's just a thought that I had to myself. Now, a build that I think really makes the max stealth vanes popular is kind of, I'll joke around and call it like the John Dudley special, which is pretty much just a 4-fletch for the max stealth vanes. Obviously, I call it the John Dudley special because John Dudley shoots a 4-fletch max stealth vane, amongst a couple of others, but that's like one of the most common ones if you watch any of his videos, any of his builds, anything like that. And a lot of guys run them, and that's a good sign because that means there's really nothing wrong with them. So if you want to hunt with one, and if you already have a couple arrows set up with the max stealth vanes and they're shooting good for you, go for it. You can't go wrong with them. This is actually one of my old hunting arrows that I use kind of just for practice on wraps now, because I absolutely smoked a 2x4 with these things. But a vane that I wanted to talk about that I feel like has all the benefits of the max stealth, with really only one con, and it has more benefits than the max stealth has in and of itself, is going to be something like these TAC driver vanes. Now these are made by TAC. These are the 2.75 inches. They have a little bit of a shield cut on them. But the reason why I think these basically do everything that the max stealth vanes do and more is because you still have that profile. It's going to be just as long and pretty much just as tall. But on top of that, these things are stiff. They're stiff. When I saw videos covering these things, I thought people were over-exaggerating, and I didn't really understand how stiff these things were. It feels like you're flicking like a laminated piece of paper, or like even like a credit card almost. It's really stiff. I can't even put it into words. You just got to feel one for yourself. But these are really good just because you eliminate some of that noise that a softer vane creates, in my opinion. And on top of that, the only takeaway is that these are a little bit heavier than the max stealth vanes. And obviously if you're running 4-fletch, that's going to mean a little bit more. 3-fletch, in my opinion, it's not a noticeable difference. It's not even going to be like a full yard on a sight tape out at 60 or 70 or anything like that. At least I don't think so. And I've tested these two vanes and the next one I'm going to show back to back to back, and I'm shooting them out of the same sight with the same sight tape with the same pin, and they're all pretty much hitting in the same area, and that's at 50 yards. So it's really not a super noticeable difference. And with the benefits that you get, because these things fly really quiet, it's pretty crazy. With the benefits that you get with these vanes, if you're going with the max stealth vanes, I would heavily suggest at least trying the driver vanes from TAC just to see if they fit a little bit better for you. Now the next vane that I want to talk about is going to be kind of like a happy ground between the Boning Blazer vane and the TAC driver vane. I will sometimes joke around to myself and just think like, oh, this is like the little brother of the driver vane, and that is the Boning Heat vane. Now these are very good because they're low profile. I mean, put up next to the TAC vanes, they're going to be about the same profile, but put up next to them, they're also a lot shorter. I think they're a good 1/4 of an inch shorter, which is going to help because you aren't getting as much drag because it's not taking up as much space. Now these are just as stiff as well. I even think they might be a little bit stiffer. You know, having the TAC driver kind of come to that shield cut, I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to bend on the back end here. Not so much up front, but the build that these heat vanes have, they're very stiff. So you're going to have that kind of quietness, and you're also going to have that good steering with the profile that they have. Now, the reason why I would call it the little brother is because I would not use this for like a fixed blade situation, just because you're not getting the full length of a max stealth or a TAC driver vane. Now, a lot of guys will shoot fixed blades out of these, which by all means, you can do that if it works for you. Just speaking from personal experience, this would be a really good vein that I would choose if I was shooting like a mechanical broadhead or something like that, or even like a really low profile fixed blade broadhead. That's something that I would shoot out of an arrow that has these veins on it. I wouldn't really go like a super big broadhead, maybe a 2-blade, like a Magnus Stinger or something like that. Anything bigger than that, especially not like a 4-blade, unless I'm running a 4-fletch with these arrows, or with these veins, excuse me. That would be something where that changes the whole game. I'm just kind of thinking off of a 3-fletch perspective. But it's definitely something just to think on, guys. All the veins put together, I mean, you're going to have a lot of selection. There's a couple that I've never even used that a lot of people use. I know Silent Night is a really big brand. Q2i, whatever. Q2i is going to be another one also. And just tons of other ones out there. I mean, AAE makes a lot more veins. I've actually been wanting to get a hold of a couple of their hybrid shield cuts. And then TAC makes a ton of veins. It's going to be something where you can't go wrong. Whatever works for you, works for you. And like I mentioned in my previous video, if you're shooting something good, don't let what anybody else tells you about that deter you from using that piece of gear, because it matters at the end of the day what works best for you. Because you're the one shooting the bow, not other people on forums, not me making the video, not people commenting on something like that. You're the one shooting the bow, so you should be the one deciding what works best for you. But if you guys did like the video, I would really appreciate it if you showed it. Just leave a like on the video, and even, if you want to stick around for more videos to come, I know I got a couple ideas that I'm trying to push out here as fast as I can. Subscribe to the channel. I definitely want to grow this thing, and it's really nice having people who, I see like or comment or do anything like that, engage with the channel as it's growing. If you guys want to check out like my Instagram or anything like that, I will have a link down below in the description, but I'll also put it on screen right here for you guys to check out as well. And at the end of the day, also, if I missed anything, make sure to hold me accountable, guys. Put it down in the comments. If I said something that is just absolutely bogus, call me out for it. I don't want to be lying. I don't want to be spreading misinformation or fake news or anything like that. So yeah, just let me know, guys. But at the end of the day, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have an absolutely blessed day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.